Stu, that feels like a really big win for Ipswich Town this afternoon. 2-1 victors over Peterborough. Not their fluid best, but the better team, and 3 big points.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can disagree that that wasn't ultimately deserved for Ipswich Town. You're right, we've seen them play better, but they needed that win today, didn't they? A few drop points here at Portman Road in recent weeks. Lincoln, Cheltenham, Fleetwood, and that kind of added to a little bit of a slightly subdued atmosphere inside Portman Road today. Probably didn't help with it being freezing cold here. An early kick-off as well because of the World Cup, and maybe just a little bit of nervousness about the place after that late equaliser against Fleetwood. So all things considered, for Ipswich to go in front, to then concede an equaliser, to go again and win that match, I think is a real psychological boost today.
Yeah, Peterborough on a bad run. We knew that coming into the game, but they're a good team. They've got good players, and I think Peterborough actually left talking about being fairly pleased with their performance in this game. But Ipswich Town were the better side, and that was a really nice goal to open things up, wasn't it? Connor Chaplin, the shortest player on the pitch maybe, but he's a really good header of the ball.
Yeah.
It's not rare for him to score headed goals. I've looked back through, he scored quite a lot in his career, and that was an expert one, guided back from Sam Morsey's cross into the far corner. It was a really nice goal.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago we were talking to Connor Chaplin, who was on a 12-game goal drought, I think, at that stage, and he told us, I've always been a streaky goal scorer, I've always been a purple patch goal scorer, and 2 goals against Buxton in the cup and 2 more goals today. You're right, that was an expert header, a really good header. Morsey little clipped cross into the box, and did well just to glance it inside the far post. Really good goal to get things going, because it had been a really sort of flat, edgy start to this game. Pretty much nothing happened for about 10-15 minutes, really, did it?
No, nothing apart from Janoy Donasian at various stages in those 15 minutes having issues, which ultimately saw him forced off just on that 15 minutes. But that Chaplin goal did come at a really good time, didn't it, to kind of lift this game and get things going. But there was one big area for Town today that was an issue, and it provided the Peterborough equaliser. And if there was to be a second Peterborough equaliser, it was going to come from the same route, and that was balls into the box. Not great for Town at times in this one.
No, I couldn't see Peterborough scoring from open play, to be honest. I don't think they offered a great deal on that front, but you're right. The one area where Ipswich looked a bit vulnerable, a little bit wobbly today, was high balls into the box and set pieces, which has been their Achilles heel for a little while, and it's something that they need to look at. Having got that Chaplin goal, the lead lasted 10 minutes. Peterborough's only chance up until that point had been a Johnson Clark-Harris free kick from about 30 yards out that I think Walton lost in the sunshine, hit the top of the bar. And then their first real forward foray resulted in their first corner of the game and resulted in a goal. It was sort of played short, worked out to the corner of the box, lifted to the back post, and I don't know if Walton was affected by the sun, but I think it's Wes Burns who loses his marker, and Frankie Kent's there to squeeze in a header right at the far post. And there were other moments in this game where I thought Ipswich looked a little bit nervy defending similar type of situations.
Yeah, not the biggest Ipswich Town team out on that pitch today. Obviously Luke Wolfen and Cameron Burgess in the middle of the 2 centre-halves, but by this point Janoy Donasian's not on the field at a centre-half, playing at right back in many ways there. Not the biggest side. Particularly with Caden Jackson up top, you've then not got a bigger striker like the Dapo in there. So that's maybe part of it, but it is an issue, isn't it? It's an issue against teams that like to get balls into the box.
Yeah,
like
you go
that.
back to the madness at the end of the game against Charlton. They're just big, high deliveries to the back post. Port Vale prior to that. The number of examples of goals of that nature being conceded are starting to stack up now. It's something that they need to work on and look at, which McKenna says they will, but thankfully today it didn't cost them, because they're pretty good at scoring from set pieces themselves now, which back end of last season, it feels a lifetime ago that fans were sarcastically chanting about we're going to score from a corner. That the record from set pieces attacking wise was dire last season, but Ipswich will be the leading goal scorers from set pieces this season, and ultimately they've won it from one today.
They have, and it was absolute chaos the winning goal. Brilliant, ultimately brilliant finish from Connor Chaplin. The ball's landed at his feet. He's got a knack of getting the ball to land at his feet from corners, which is really quite impressive, both for Ipswich and him. But he's lashed it in, a real thumping finish. But I think Orphanen and Burgess both attacking the near post. Everybody ends up on the floor. I think the guy that was trying to look after Chaplin ends up on the floor. There's people strewn, bodies everywhere, and it allows Chaplin to thump it into the back of the net. And actually, you come away from that expecting to see Peterborough really remonstrating with the ref about what's gone on here, but they weren't. I think they knew that nothing was up there, and a nice little cheeky celebration from Luke Orphanen in the face of the referee as well. A little finger wag there from Luke, and just absolute chaos.
Yeah, and then that gave Ipswich the lead, and then the longer the game went on, I thought Ipswich were pretty much in control. We talked about the odd sort of nervy moment where Peterborough had a string of corners, and by hook or crook they got them clear, but as soon as that clock hit 90 and 5 minutes were held up on the stoppage time board, it's natural with the amount of goals Ipswich have conceded late on in games, the amount of points that have been dropped from losing positions, you could just sense a bit of tension and nerves in the crowd and thinking, is it going to happen again today? But Walton got a punch clear, he came and caught another one to big cheers, and Peterborough, the one nervy moment for me was when Peterborough got a stoppage time corner and McKenna decided to make a double substitution before they could take it. He took off Burns and Davis, and he brought on Keogh and Greg Lee to come on and sort of head that away, and you're thinking, oh, this has backfired before when you make late substitutions, sort of specialist substitutions, but they dealt with it and they saw out the win, and I think, as I said at the very start, it was ultimately a fully deserved 3 points today.
I think that's why it's such a big win, isn't it? After the context of last Friday night, not seeing it out, doing it today against I don't think they were at their best either, really, Peterborough, but a better Peterborough team than Fleetwood. To see that through actually and get the job done, it felt like a really big win. Yep. Really big win to me.
Well, if you're going to drop points against some of the bottom half sides who've come here to spoil a little bit, Fleetwood wasn't that, by the way, but Lincoln and Cheltenham previous, then you can counteract that by beating some of your promotion rivals here, which wasn't happening in previous seasons in League One. They've now beaten Derby here, Portsmouth here, Peterborough here as well. Especially with the amount of injuries that Ipswich have got at the moment, I thought that was a really big win today. And talking about injuries, we have to mention one man who returned from injury today.
Yes.
Shawnee Aluko, in from the start, which was a major surprise given that he's been out with a knee injury since the end of August.
Yeah, three months out. He was supposed to give Ipswich 45 minutes today. He ended up giving them 77, and 77 very good minutes as well. The Aluko that we like, the Aluko that can get on the ball, keep it, looks to do things, drops deep, through balls. There's one really nice little moment down here where he wriggled to the touchline and put a ball across, and just to have those qualities and as much as anything, another really good player, good body in that position, which had become thin for Town. So great to see him back, and great to see him with little rust as well, because it was very easy to come back and not hit the ground running after 3 months, but you wouldn't have said he'd been out for that long.
Classy player, experienced player, and don't underestimate his off-the-ball work as well. I think he really helps Ipswich with the high press. Kyle Edwards eventually replaced him, and I thought he played quite a big role in those last 10 minutes, just running around and closing people down as well. So, yeah, great to see him back today. Great to see Ipswich win. We now move into the festive period, I think, officially now, don't we? And Ipswich go to Wycombe, a rejuvenated Wycombe who've just started to get themselves going a little bit. Don't know where Ipswich are going to be in the table, because as we talk now, we're waiting for the second half of the Plymouth game to finish. But Ipswich, at the final whistle today, had gone top. Don't know if they'll still be top by the time you're watching this. But, away to Wycombe, tricky old game next week. Let's see if the show goes on for Ipswich Town.